Many people place a soft pink fillet on their dinner plate believing they are enjoying one of the cleanest and healthiest foods on the planet. The image is irresistible. Cold northern waters. Towering cliffs. A culture celebrated for purity and harmony with nature. Yet behind this image hides a world so disturbing that many who learn about it struggle to see salmon the same way again. What looks like a symbol of wellness is in fact one of the most troubling industrial operations in modern food production. Across calm coastal inlets and postcard-perfect fjords lies a network of sea-based cages that stretch like silent grids over the water. To the casual eye they appear harmless. To those who have looked inside they resemble industrial yards built for living creatures. This is where most of the salmon eaten around the world comes from. Not wild. Not free. Not natural. These fish spend their entire lives trapped in floating enclosures that tightly confine them by the thousands. Inside these pens a kind of chaos simmers behind still waters. Salmon in nature are powerful travelers built for long migrations through icy currents. Inside farms they circle endlessly with little space to move. The water barely flows. Waste collects beneath the nets. The crowding creates a perfect environment for skin parasites that attach to the fish and chew into their bodies. These parasites multiply with astonishing speed and spread through the pens like wildfire. When waves of infestation strike, farm operators release chemical treatments into the sea. These substances may knock down parasite numbers for a short time, but they also wash into surrounding waters and harm many other marine creatures that never entered a pen. Yet parasites are only one part of the struggle. Injuries are common. Many fish rub their skin against nets and equipment and develop open wounds. Others become weak from infection. When a farm is hit with disease, it can lead to staggering loss. Entire pens can crash within days. For the companies, this becomes part of the cost of doing business. For the animals, it is a life of continuous stress. The manipulation of the fish goes further. In nature, salmon gain their soft crimson shade from eating tiny sea creatures rich in natural pigments. In captivity, their feed lacks this color. Without it, their flesh turns pale. To preserve the illusion of natural vibrancy, the industry relies on synthetic color additives. Workers choose pigment levels from a chart much like painters select tones for a wall. This artificial coloring does not improve health or flavor. Its purpose is simple. It makes shoppers believe the fish lived a wild and wholesome life when in truth it never left the confines of its cage. To calm fish living under permanent stress, some producers turn to pharmaceutical methods. Stress-modulating agents can make salmon more manageable in tight spaces. A calm fish is less likely to damage itself and easier to harvest. But a calm fish in this setting is also a sign of a deeper problem. All trace of natural behavior disappears. What remains is a living product shaped to fit the demands of industrial farming rather than the rhythms of the sea. The consequences of this system extend far beyond the fences around each farm. Wild salmon across the northern world face one of the gravest declines in their long history. Once powerful migrations filled rivers with energy each year. Today many rivers feel empty. Wild juveniles that venture from fresh water to the sea must pass by coastal farms, and many pick up parasites from the dense clouds drifting around the cages. Weakened by these attacks, they fail to complete their ocean journey. Each lost generation adds to the slow unraveling of a species that once shaped entire ecosystems. Then there are the escapes. Storms, equipment failures, or human mistakes can open pathways for farm fish to surge into the open sea. When tens of thousands escape at once, they move into rivers, compete with wild fish for food, and interbreed with them. The offspring that result often lack the stamina and instincts needed for survival. Over time, this mixing erodes the natural resilience of wild salmon. No deliberate predator has done more harm to wild populations than the very farms that claim to protect the future of seafood. With damage so clear, many wonder why this industry continues to grow. The answer lies in the enormous economic weight behind it. Farmed salmon has become a global star in the world of seafood. It brings in massive revenue. Entire regions depend on the business. Political leaders often view the industry as a source of national pride and economic strength. This leads to a reluctance to challenge the status quo. Regulatory agencies move slowly. Warnings from scientists and environmental groups struggle to compete with financial interests. Even when mortality events or pollution spikes occur, the long-term pressures for change remain weak. Consumers, meanwhile, receive a polished narrative that bears little resemblance to what happens inside the pens. Marketing materials highlight sustainability, health benefits, and clean production. Packages display eco-labels that reassure buyers even when those labels rely on criteria that do not reflect the true ecological cost. Many people believe they are supporting responsible fishing when they purchase a farmed fillet. Few realize they are supporting a system that threatens the very existence of the wild fish they imagine. The collapse of wild salmon disrupts far more than a single species. Entire ecosystems depend on these migrations. When salmon return to rivers, they bring nutrients from the sea that feed birds, mammals, forests, and countless forms of life along their path. Remove the salmon and the web of life around them begins to fray. Bears hunt less successfully. Birds lose food sources. Forests receive fewer marine nutrients. The decline of salmon becomes the decline of an entire ecological network. This story forces society to confront uncomfortable questions. Is the desire for affordable salmon worth the cost to oceans, rivers, and wildlife? Are consumers willing to look past glossy images and learn how their food is really produced? And most importantly, can an industry built on high-density confinement and chemical intervention ever coexist with healthy wild ecosystems? Change will not come from industry alone. It begins when people demand transparency. When they ask hard questions about where their fish comes from and how it was raised. When governments prioritize long-term environmental health over short-term profit. When communities understand that the pink fillet at the store has a far more complicated story than the label suggests. Real progress becomes possible when the public sees through the illusion and recognizes the truth beneath the surface. Farmed salmon has been sold as a symbol of purity. The reality reveals something much darker. An industrial system that reshapes nature for convenience. A hidden toll that spreads across entire marine regions. A threat to one of the most iconic wild animals of the northern world. It is not too late to change course. But change requires awareness. It requires honesty. It requires a willingness to rethink the choices made at dinner tables across the world. Until that shift happens, The salmon that many believe brings health and vitality may instead stand as a reminder of how easily modern industry can conceal harm behind a glossy surface. The story of salmon has become a story about consumers as much as producers. It asks each person to look past the color of a fillet and consider the cost that created it. Only then can healthy seas return and the ancient migration of wild salmon continue with strength and dignity for generations to come. This is not just a story about fish. It is a story about truth hidden behind packaging, about oceans reshaped for profit, and about a wild creature pushed towards silence while the world is told everything is fine. The next time a bright pink fillet sits in front of you, remember what lies beneath that color. Remember the cages, the chemicals, the escapes, the vanishing rivers, and the wild migrations fading from memory. Real change begins when ordinary people learn the truth and refuse to look away. Every choice at the market speaks. Every question raised breaks through the polished curtain. When enough people understand the real cost, the tide can shift. Oceans can recover. Rivers can fill again. Wild salmon can return with the force and freedom they once carried through cold northern waters. Thank you for watching. Stay curious. Stay aware. And keep seeking the stories that were never meant to be seen.